What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the potential starters for Pokemon Legends ZA using the information from Riddler Khu and what possibilities could we actually receive realistically. And of course, guys, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Consider supporting the channel by joining the PanFam by hitting that join channel member button below. So we talked about this earlier in the week in the previous video, but I really wanted to highlight this tweet again and focus a full video on the Pokemon Legends ZA starters. And Riddler Khu, out of nowhere, his latest tweet, he posted 358 out of nowhere, no context. Now, assuming he is most likely talking about the Legends ZA starters, we are probably going to get a reveal on these by Pokemon Day, which is going to be February 27th, but it's fun to speculate, and no one else can really figure out what else these three digits could relate to besides the starters. Now, we talked about this in the previous video a little bit, but we only touched the surface of it, and I do want to set the parameters of what the starters for PLZA could actually be. So to keep in mind, the parameters: one, we know the PLA starters were one, a grass, a fire, and a water type. I assume this is going to be the same thing. And of course, they were all original starter Pokemon from previous gens. So I assume that's going to be the same stuff. And I also assume it will not be Rowlet, it will not be Cyndaquil, and it will not be Oshawott. Now, Oshawot's definitely a big one because Oshawott would count part of this 5. If 5 represents Generation 5, that means there will be no water representative from Generation 5 as the starter in this game, which actually nails it down because that means Gen 5 is either going to be Tepig or it's going to be Snivy. So that actually deducts our options pretty easily. Now, I'll also say that another thing that we can probably deduce from this is, one, already having a Mega does not remove you from contention. We don't know if the starters are gonna be getting a Mega anyways. It could just be a regional form. And we've already had multiple Pokemon have a more than one Mega. Like Charizard has 2 Megas. Wouldn't be surprised if Charizard gets a 3rd Mega in ZA. Mewtwo has 2 Megas. So, you know, having multiple Megas is definitely a possibility. So I will say that the starters will most likely have a regional form, but they could get a new Mega even if they already have one. I wouldn't count them out from here. Possibility number 1. We're looking at 3, 5, and 8 in order. So Generation 3 would be Trico, Generation 5 would be Tepig, and then Sobble would be Generation 8. And, you know, it always goes grass, fire, and water. So that's how we line it up in this case. So Trico already does have a Mega with Mega Sceptile, but like I said, I wouldn't count that out. You know, that actually might be a bonus because we know Megas are going to be in the game. So it makes a lot of sense for Trico to be involved in the game already. So that's actually probably a plus for the Sceptile side here. Now, Tepig is absolutely a Pokemon that needs some love. It deserves some love. It is the 3rd firefighting Pokemon. It is also the worst of the firefighting Pokemon. It is a Pokemon that has never received any sort of form, has never really been that great in general. So this is a Pokemon that definitely would get a great Mega or a regional variant. I can totally see Tepig being one of the starters. And then we got Sobble and Inteleon. You know, yeah, all the Gen 8 ones got a G-Max form, so they technically already got something. But, you know, Inteleon actually ended up being the worst of the 3 Generation 8 starters. Rillaboom is a VGC monster. Cinderace is actually very great. You know, ended up being more like a fire-type Greninja. Very strong Pokemon, too. So Inteleon was sort of left there that it could definitely use some sort of additional dual typing if it gets a form or a Mega here. But, you know, I think this is the safest and, you know, most rational way to look at it in order. But what about some of the other possibilities? What is the second chance? Number 2, mixing it up a bit now. So now we're going 3 or 5, 3, 8. 5, 3, 8. So we do keep the Sobble, but this time we're going to be getting the superior with either a regional form or Mega, and then Blaziken, who also has a Mega already, or a regional form. And I think this is a really strong starter group. I would prefer this one over the first one either way. I mean, I think this is just no matter how I cut this one, this is such a strong one. I think a lot of people are very happy about this. A lot of people love Blaziken. Mega Blaziken is already a phenomenal, amazing Pokemon. I could totally see like a Mega Blaziken Z, or, you know, maybe remove the fighting typing and give it like, make it fire and flying. That could be really cool. And Superior is a Pokemon that absolutely needs to get something. It's just, it has a great gimmick with Contrary, Leaf Storm, but has a terrible move pool. It does not, you know, have, I mean, it could get the Dragon typing because it does get like Dragon Pulls and things like that. Some of the few coverage moves it actually gets, but I could totally see like Superior getting something that's very needed. Torchic being such a fan favorite, and, you know, Sobble, people like Sobble in general too. Now for the third one, this is sort of my Nightmare Blunt rotation. I really do not like this one, so we're looking at it as 8, 5, and 3. I don't really want to see Rillaboom out here. Rillaboom already has everything it needs to compete at an incredibly high level. It, you know, it is one of the best VGC Pokemon of all time, even in some cases better than Incineroar. And I just don't really think we need something from Grookey. I'm not the biggest fan of Grookey personally either, but I definitely don't think that we want to go down this route. Now, Tepig, once again, I think is an excellent choice here. You know, out of this bunch, I would probably pick Tepig as my starter. And then we get Mudkip. And of course, like all the other Generation 3 starters, they already have a Mega. So there is, you know, a decent chance for Mudkip to be one of the starters in general too because of that. But I gotta say, I really don't like Mega Mudkip. Maybe it could be in the game, but not one of the starters. But personally, I think this might be the weakest of the options overall here. Also, I don't like how all of them, you know, they're sort of all on all fours. I mean, Grookey, he can decide on what he wants to do, but I don't like that for my starters. I feel like they also look very all samey. So I think this is just overall the worst option. Now, option 4, the last option, because once again, remember that Gen 5 can only have between 2 reps, either Snivy or Tepig. So that really knocks down the possibilities. This one is pretty decent. I would not be upset about this one. We do get Snivy, who I think, you know, obviously very loved Pokemon, great starter, but, you know, Superior, very linear Pokemon. Definitely needs something to make it much better than it currently is. Then we get Scorbunny, which is another fan favorite Pokemon. Cinderace, very great Pokemon. Would love to see it. Personally, to me, is a downgrade from Torchic, but I would be really interested to see Cinderace, and you know the French and bunnies. There's a connection there. It's already a soccer player. The French love soccer, so I do see another connection there. So there is some more validity for the Scorbunny Cinderace starter here. And then once again, we get Mudkip, and of course, so many people love Mudkip. I'm just not one of those people, but like Mudkip does have a lot of fans, and I do think a lot of people would be happy with number 4. Number 4 is a great choice, I think, for a lot of people. But let me know in the comment section below what choice that you want to go with. Number 1, I think number 1 overall, it's gonna be pretty solid. This is like a 7 out of 10. Number 2, I think this is like a 9 out of 10. Number 3, I think this is like a 4 out of 10. And then number 4, I think this is probably like a 7.5 out of 10. So there you go. What starter trio do you want? But number 2, I think, takes the cake here. Hopefully, you know, this is a legitimate clue by Riddler Khu. Hopefully we're not looking into this too much, but who knows? Anything can happen with Pokemon. Anyways, guys, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Catch you guys next time. Peace out and have a good one.